Hey,
Good morning.
good morning. It is a good morning.
It is certainly
It's
morning.
not just a something we say today.
You know what I would say?
Good morning. It's like, no, it's actually a good morning.
It's a super morning.
Look at you. I see what you did there.
Wasn't even on the
See,
pod.
this is the stuff you
unfortunately.
only get if
You only
check
get
in the
this if
video.
you tune in at 7 a.m. Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. And it is Monday morning. It is a good morning. It's the morning that we get to react to the Eagles versus Andy Reid in the Super Bowl. How much have we talked about this?
Unbelievable.
Eagles versus Andy. It's happening, Elliot.
I mean, you couldn't script it. You know, like it's unbelievable that it's actually going to be the Eagles versus Andy Reid.
I mean, come on, dude.
And not to mention, just from like a WIP perspective, the fact that Angelo
Oh my
Cataldi's
God, it's
and
like-
the weeks before you take over, the last bit of content is the Eagles in the Super Bowl versus Andy Reid.
It's like impossible to believe that actually happened in Angelo's last 2 weeks. Is like it is if it like as much of a
like there's a sports god out there.
So
looking out.
I used to do shows with Sigmund Bloom. Shout out to Sigmund Bloom, great guy. He always had a really good phrase for these type of things.
Yeah.
He called it the universe winking at us. And this is like the universe, like looking at us and like nonstop winking. Like, look at this! How crazy is this?
It's like in Seinfeld when he got grapefruit in his eyes.
Yes, there you go.
How about that
Yeah,
reference?
that's good. Look at
You like that?
buddy.
It's a good one.
Seinfeld, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah. That's what we're bringing you. See,
Yeah.
that's what you came here for on the
Seinfeld.
daily and pods every day to listen to. By the way, we get to do our full run of it.
I was
Very
gonna say,
exciting.
like, we're literally gonna do
Yes.
now. We're at 10. This will be number 11. We will end this with 20 live pods.
Yeah, and
The most we could have possibly
I
done.
can't tell you how exciting it was when so many people last night like more pods.
I know,
I
it
was
was
like, you
awesome.
are my
Yeah, it
favorite
was
people on
awesome.
the planet. But yeah, we get to do more pods because we get to talk about the Eagles and Andy Reid
Well,
in the freaking Super Bowl.
And also, so last night, after the game ended, like obviously we're following, what's happening afterwards. But we had to come in here. We had to do the pod and everything. So I feel like we didn't really get to see live all the celebrations, like all the.
Mhm.
And I will say it was really, really, really cool watching everyone run out to Broad Street to celebrate Gannon coming back. Like I know, like, I knew people would be happy, but I gotta say, seeing them climbing grease poles, all those things, knowing Gannon's coming back was pretty awesome.
Can I say something? And it's the
Yeah.
Monday after the Super Bowl, so sometimes you say things in the midst of an emotional moment that maybe isn't always what you think, or
Yeah.
you don't want to necessarily be held to
Well,
the
look, we're an
standard.
emotional pod.
Held to the standard that you say in an emotional moment or whatever, but happy's coming back.
Thank you.
Just saying.
It's just now we'll see how you feel.
Yeah, again,
Sunday night
reserve
after.
the right to change that opinion, but look, you can come on. I mean, we talked a lot yesterday. It was like really, we're really reacting to the emotions, and we talked about some plays and some players
Yeah.
and stuff, but like the defense was freaking awesome yesterday. I mean, I know they went up against backups and backups and backups, but
They did exactly what they were
did what
supposed
they
to
had
do.
to do, other than the McCaffrey non-tackle. Like, they were phenomenal.
I should really look this up because we talked about it on the pod last night. But I really don't think the Niners threatened to score the entire game after
Other
that
than
touchdown.
No, we talked.
I don't
about
think they
it,
were
like,
in the red
yeah.
zone. Yeah. But again, look, it's Purdy, it's Josh Johnson. Like, you're not supposed to give up a lot of points, but it's tough to hold any offense to 7 points. Like, any offense in the entire NFL to hold them to 7 points really tough, especially when the opposing head coach is someone that, look, might be a bit of a fraud. Maybe I was right all along about him being a fraud. This is why you.
It's hard. Look,
not
again,
a fraud. I'm kidding.
Josh
but,
Johnson plays in the NFC.
I'm kidding.
I mean, it's one of those things where, as much as we knew all year, and I it wouldn't have mattered if Jimmy G was still
the
healthy
Niners were
playing
never
LeBron.
in the red zone.
Like, the Eagles were just the better football team. They were the better football team all year. The Niners had a nice little run heading into the playoffs with those wins.
Yeah.
But they weren't close to the Eagles. The Eagles were the best team, like, flat out. But saw someone making on Twitter a good point. It's like, if you get down to your 4th-string quarterback in the NFC Championship game, probably not your year.
You're probably not
It's
going to
just
win.
Probably
I agree.
not your year.
100%.
Yeah.
But look, the Eagles lost to Brad Johnson. I know he's not the whatever. Things happen. Joe Webb happens. There are certainly games where Tyler Heineke happens. Like, there are games where you lose to bad quarterbacks. And especially when you have that opposing, offensive mind on the other sideline, whatever. Like, I don't know why I said that. Like, I'm like some like national, like he's got a great offensive mind. Like when you have Kyle Shanahan on the other sideline, 7 points is 7 points.
Yeah.
So, and the defensive line was unbelievable. I will say one thing that I've thought about a lot since the end of the pod last night, and I think we did a good job on the pod discussing it. God, man, Hassan Reddick is just,
it's all I've been thinking about.
It's unbelievable.
Again, I said last night, I think it's arguably, in all new account, the greatest defensive season in the history of the Eagles. Like, it's up there. It's with Reggie White when he had 22 sacks or whatever it was, or 20 sacks, whatever, like in 12 games, I think it was. Like, I mean, it's amazing. But like, this guy has done it to the Super Bowl, and in the 2 playoff games, he's been arguably the best player on the field for both of them.
Yeah.
Like, he was certainly the best player on the field yesterday. The best player on both sides of the field yesterday was Hassan freaking Reddick.
I mean, I would
in the NFC champ. Like, if you give out an MVP, like we'll get a Super Bowl MVP when that happens. Like, if you get an NFC championship game MVP or an NFC playoffs MVP, it's Hassan Reddick.
And I think they actually should give that award out.
I do too. Like, they give it out in baseball.
Yeah,
like
it's one game. Who cares?
Bryce Harper, NLCS MVP. That was cool.
Not afford the trophy. Like,
I'm
just put it out. Like,
dude, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that for our lifetime, the gold standard of free agent acquisitions has been Terrell Owens, and
even though it was like a trade.
Whatever, right. But
off-season
acquisition, I should say, right? That's been the gold standard. And I think, in a way, T.O. will never be topped.
Argue Nick Foles, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Bring him back as the backup quarterback.
That's certainly
best free agent signing.
Yeah,
I know.
But in terms of
a big money signing, or like quote unquote.
If you think about the T.O. thing, the reason it was such a big acquisition is because they really, really, really needed receivers, right?
Always, our whole life.
Think about last year. They only had 29 sacks all last year. I mean, think of how many, I don't know how many sacks they finished with yesterday. Was it like 4 or 5, something like that? They're going to have 10 in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They had 29 or whatever it was all last year. So when you talk about like a need where the T.O. thing filled a need, Hassan Reddick filled almost an equally important need.
Yeah, probably the biggest.
And he's not as exciting as a position. Like, I get all those things. But yeah, man, I mean, he's really, really, really good.
Really good. And again, I know I said it last night, but I don't think you can hammer it home enough. Just not only look, you know me, this is so up my alley and all that. And we're both Temple guys, but regardless, I'm like I love the hometown kid thing. It's something in sports that, because again, they're humans and all that. Like, I think it's cool when someone who's from a city who grew up there, rooted for these teams, actually gets to play for those teams and do special things for those teams. Yeah. And this kid to be from here to again walk on at Temple. He was a walk on at freaking Temple. He didn't walk on at freaking Alabama.
Yeah.
He walked on at Temple, and now he's the best player in the NFC playoffs.
Yeah.
For his hometown team.
It's crazy.
Like, it's a great story.
I kind of feel like I could have walked on to Temple as a kicker.
Oh, buddy.
Just saying.
Yeah.
This could have been me, basically. That's all I'm saying. It could have been me at the last night. But I was thinking, to keep with the Reddick thing, last night when he gets the forced fumble, then he recovers the fumble, he's on the sideline, he's hyping up the crowd, the place is going crazy. Like, that's why you come to Philly.
Yeah.
Like, right there. That's why you don't take a little more money to stay in Carolina, or,
We saw it with baseball, too. It's the same thing where, like, Trey Turner's, obviously he signed for money. His wife's from here and all that, but he's like, dude, that was awesome. Like, I want to do that. I want to be the dude who hits it into the sea of red. Same point with Reddick. Reddick got the opportunity to, do that.
It's getting close to the point where if you don't list, if you're a national analyst and you're talking about, the best edge rushers, and you don't mention Reddick anymore, it's getting to the point where it's a bad look for you. You're wrong. I mean, it's in some order, like Bosa, Parsons, Myles Garrett.
Reddick.
I can't think of who would.
Yeah, I mean, Jones is an inside rusher. Chris Jones, obviously, and he was, anyone who was like, he was phenomenal in that game too. But.
Well, so when I probably got home, I don't know, 8:30, 8:40, whatever.
We got home right at the end, a little bit left in the third. Yeah, I think there was a couple minutes left in the third quarter.
And when I got home, I was thinking wow.
And we were watching on the way home on my phone.
Yeah, on your phone. Yeah, look at you streaming. Big tech guy.
I felt pretty cool.
It was pretty good.
It was pretty badass.
It was pretty good. But when we got home, Kristen's there. She had been out celebrating, and I'm like, wow, it's early. I'll probably get to bed early. Dude, I'm shocked. I couldn't sleep.
I couldn't sleep.
I didn't fall asleep until probably 1:30. I was laying in bed.
Same. Yeah. I kept thinking about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was doing research.
We're going to the freaking Super Bowl.
Yeah, thinking about everything.
I felt the same way. I couldn't fall asleep.
I was shocked. Again, because I knew I had to get up early, but yeah. I mean, we're even on the drive in this morning, we were saying, they're going to the Super Bowl. and it just doesn't feel completely real yet.
Because it was so easy.
Dude, even just thinking about
it shouldn't be as easy as it was, man. Like to the point of like all season long, it felt like preordained. Felt like, all right, this team's going to the Super Bowl. They're the best team. The only time they had any sort of doubt, anyone had any doubt, was when Hurts was out.
Was when that day when the line
literally
moved or
when the backup was out, and then they, again, I said it last night a bunch of times, but it bears repeating. Then they come into the playoffs and outscore their opponent 69-14.
Yeah.
Like at no point in the playoffs have we even stressed. So it like even the 38-7 in 2017 or 2018 technically, but you know what I mean.
I have
like even that, like the start of the game, they scored quick. We're like, oh God, and then like the first half it felt close, and then the Eagles pulled away. Like at no point in the playoffs have the Eagles been threatened. It's it just feels different.
I mean, you figure they've played 2 full games, and there was maybe like 10 minutes of game time where you thought like, oh, this is a little close. Yeah. Like yesterday, there was a point where it was like, this is a little close, right?
It was like,
but outside of that, I mean, and again, once Purdy was out, the only thing that made you think they would lose would be like the worst case happens. But no, I mean, even just something dumb like I was thinking last night. Think of all the cool like Super Bowl merchandise.
Oh, I know, dude. I know. Look, I already got
I know. Oh, that's
shout out to the great Joe Wechter last night.
Hold it up. See, this is why you watch on YouTube for moments like
this. Look at this. The great Joe Wechter.
Look at that.
Conference championship.
Very nice.
Right in a roll. Look at this. My future spend every day with him, Joe Wechter. Love that.
Well, there was a moment last night. I saw it. I think it was on the news, and this kid. Here I am sounding old again. But this kid, he was like, I don't know. He was like 23, 24, I would guess. And he's like, man, like, this is like the best moment of my life. Or like, I never thought this would happen. In my head, I'm like, they went 5 years ago. You've literally lived through this. Like, this is quite literally something you have experienced.
Yeah.
But I guess I have a question for you. Like,
sure.
Do you feel like you're reacting to it any differently because of that? Because this isn't the first. Well, it won't be the first. But
so, like I definitely think. So
because they're so close together.
Well, yeah, it's funny because it's in 2 ways. Like one, look, I think the first time's always going to be the first time.
Yeah.
There's no way around
Many
that.
say
like,
that.
Yeah, it's a factual statement.
Yes, yeah.
But I mean, like, that's the one where it's like, I thought my father would die without seeing us. I thought I might never, like we all had that, for our families. And we thought about all the people. Like, I thought about my dad who died and didn't get to see it. Like, so many people thought about their loved ones who weren't there for it. People were bringing, Super Bowl champion stuff to grave sites. So, there was that thing that made it and just the whole weight that I don't think can ever, obviously can never be replicated. So that was like, it's again, if we waited 50 more years to win another, you never know how, and knock on wood, let's not do that. Let's win on in a couple of weeks here.
Yeah.
We're good. But like, so I think from that perspective, it's different, but I will also say that on the flip side of that, where it's different in a positive way is that I felt like, cause last time it was just such a wild run to the end with Foles and like, oh my God, whoa, it's actually oh my God, whoa.
Yeah.
Like this time I feel like I'm appreciating it more as it goes. I'm like recognizing how special this team is and how special this moment is. Whereas last time it was all like emotion. This time it's more like logically I can step back and be like, holy crap. Like this is a special team and a special moment. And don't forget this, relish this, because this is rare.
Well, so last night, I'm standing in the hallway outside the locker room, like the players are coming off the field. And to me, it felt like it was more of a party than it was in 2017. Like players were, like all the friends and family were there. Players were like, drinking beers, fans were handing them. Like Darius Slay was dancing. Like players were going wild. And I thought to myself, man, I don't remember it being like this in 2017. But I think what it is now that we're going through it a second time, you can kind of like take a step back and view it a little slower and like really take everything in because you've done it before,
exactly.
Whereas in 2017, it was a whirlwind. Like I didn't know what to expect when I was standing in the hallway. Like my only memory of 2017 the hallway, like after they won the NFC Championship, was Aguilar coming out and just being like to the media, like, come on, we're going. Like that's it. I have no other memory of that night. Right? Like, but now I'll remember so many things about last night. Like Fletcher Cox drinking a beer, like Brandon Graham being the last player to come out.
Jalen with the cigar.
Like I do think so. Brandon Graham, I'm almost positive was the last player off the field. I do wonder about that.
Interesting.
And not just the last player, very much the last player. Like there was probably, I would say 8 minutes from when the last player I saw come in till Brandon came in. And I don't think he's going to retire or anything.
It's interesting.
It was noteworthy to me
Sure.
that he was so much past it. And he was probably taking it all in, right? I mean, look, think about this too.
Because look, he doesn't know, like he's a free agent, right? After the season.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, I mean, there's a lot of unknowns.
I mean,
the
captains for last night's game, Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, 3 all-time legendary Eagles. Like, you can make the argument all 3 of them are in the top 10 of Eagles.
Oh yeah,
Whatever. Brandon Graham is
Brandon and Kelce. Brandon Kelce, my 2 favorite. And
yeah,
Foles,
exactly.
and Foles,
right?
Those are my 3 favorite of all time.
Yeah, and
those are my guys.
last night could be it almost actually probably will be the last time all 3 of them are on the team together. I think 1 or 2 could be back. I would be surprised if all 3 are back. It could happen. I'm not like saying it won't, but you would think the chances are small that all 3 will be back. So just adding to what was an amazing night. Like, I heard a lot of people say after the game, I heard a lot of media members say, like, oh, what a shitty game that was. I don't know if that really matters, honestly. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I don't really care if it was a good football game or not. The thing you'll remember about last night was, and 5 years, was they dominated to win the NFC Championship game at home in the last game that Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelce, and Brandon Graham were all on the team. Yeah, like that's an awesome moment.
And remembering this team, like in the dominance of this team all year, we'll just remember how dominant they were. And look, I'm right there with you. It's so funny because I cared about, like, one thing I'm really happy about was that Pats Eagles Super Bowl was such a fun game.
Yeah.
Like that, we look back, our first time, like, couldn't have been more fun and special and all that type of stuff. Like, I mean, my favorite of all the awesome stats, I mean, first of all, they beat Brady when he threw 5-0. They beat the GOAT, like all that stuff. But like my favorite stat about that one, in the history of football, all the games ever played, the most yards in a game ever, not a playoff game, like any game, like for that to be in a Super Bowl is just such a, like, so like we have that, like I don't care. Like, we can win 3-0 now. Like, I just want the wins. Like, I'm past the, like, I want the style. I want the memorable game, like whatever. I just want a freaking ring again. Like, and now I want to, Elliot, to use a term we
bottom line,
stack rings, buddy. All right? That's where I want to go. All right? My next thing is now we stack wins, we stack rings.
We're officially a stack rings podcast. But so is there a part of you that thinks about the last Super Bowl and how it could not have been better?
Well, it was like perfect.
That will, again,
it's like a movie.
Yeah,
it's a movie. It was a movie story.
Do you think there's part of like Brandon Graham and Jason Kelce that are like, man, it would kind of suck to go out, like if they lose or whatever. And think about how we remember them now, like Kelce in the Mummers costume, Brandon Graham making the play, like that will change a little bit now.
I don't think it'll matter.
Maybe you're right.
There is set in stone. With that.
Yeah, no, I agree. But
time. They helped us win our first Super Bowl. They played those roles. It doesn't matter.
Let's say Brandon Graham commits a penalty.
Doesn't matter.
I just wonder.
You can be Joseph Asai and do what happened in that game and losing the game. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It really doesn't. I get your point, and it's an interesting thought.
Right.
I really think like that first Super Bowl matters so much. It's nothing can improve.
I agree, and I think in the grand scheme of things, you are correct. It just I think this. Again, I think the 2017 team was special. The 2022 team is just dominant.
Yeah.
So we guys talked about the Chiefs a little bit today. I'm going to say this off the jump. When they got the Giants, I was like, they're definitely winning this game. When they got the Niners, the Niners are probably overrated. They're going to win this game. The Chiefs are really, 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 really good. Like this. So this is why I couldn't sleep till last night. Like doing research on the Chiefs, like looking, like they are really, really good. This is the first time in a long time I think I've gone into an Eagles game with the idea of, man, this opponent. I think I feel less confident than when the Eagles played the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and that was probably because at that point I'm like, well, they're just definitely not going to lose because the Chiefs are awesome.
Eagles are winning the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I tweeted it last night. I believe it. They're better than the Chiefs. They've been better all year. They've been better all year than the Chiefs. They've been the better team. They were better yesterday. Look, the Chiefs are banged up, man. This Eagles team is going in about as healthy. I mean, Dickerson really the only guy in an issue yesterday. I'm sure he's fine. He always leaves games. Like the Chiefs are losing receivers right and left. Mahomes is hobbling around.
Yeah, he was hobbling.
Look, anything can happen, but the Eagles are going into this game way healthier. They have a better roster. I mean, they have a coach who I trust more in big games. No offense, Andy. I know you've won more big games, but he's still Andy Reid. There were some real questionable things.
Yeah.
You know, so I agree with you. This is by far the toughest test of the season, as we knew it would be all season long. It was and towards the end of the season, it became the Bengals, the Niners part of that too. But like the first part of the season was like, all right, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles. That's it. Those are the teams. And then the Bills fell, the Chiefs and the Eagles all year long. Like we said with the past week, where it's like, the two best teams are playing in the Super Bowl all year long. These two teams are 16-3 right now.
I agree with that.
Facing in the Super Bowl. We are seeing a mammoth Titan matchup this year.
Agree.
Two great football teams.
Yep.
So that's awesome. That's what you want. But I think anything can happen. I mean, they have Patrick Mahomes. They had a couple weeks to heal. Like we've seen him do amazing things. I think the Eagles are a better football team than the Chiefs. I think they're better. I think they're a better roster. And I feel so confident, like not like, like lock it up, but I really think the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So I'm not making my pick yet. I don't feel that way. I'm not saying I don't think they're going to win.
I get it.
I get
it. You're not there yet.
Yeah. And I don't know if I'm going to get there, but we'll see. But look, like this. To your point though, think about this. If they win the Super Bowl, they will have beaten Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm. And Belichick and Andy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you love to rip on Belichick, but they would be the two best modern coaches by far. Two of the 5 winningest coaches in the history of the sport. I mean,
think about this. They will have beaten, again, the most accomplished quarterback of all time in Tom Brady, arguably the most talented quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, the best head coach in Andy Reid, and the best defensive coordinator in Bill Belichick. Like, think about that. Not many people can say they beat the best defensive coordinator ever in the Super Bowl. I guess Eli Manning can.
This guy, dude.
Yeah. And Nick Foles.
Yeah. This guy.
What do you think of the Andy thing?
I think it's awesome. I think it's going to be really fun. Like, I don't, have ill will towards Andy or whatever. Yeah. I'm also not an Andy devotee. I'm not one of those people who's like, thinks Andy's the greatest thing ever. Like, I think Andy's one of the great coaches of all time, an innovator all the time. I'm happy he was here. I'm happy he's gone. Mm-hmm. Obviously, look, we went to the Super Bowl once with Andy. We've gone twice since he's been gone. I think it's worked out for everybody. But I would love to beat him. I love Andy. I have no hate towards Andy, but I want to beat him. I think it'd be super fun to beat Andy Reid in the Super Bowl. Like, that sounds awesome to me.
So, when you talk about like movies and music and stuff, there's how does it hold up over time?
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder how Andy's years hold up over time. Because I'm definitely an Andy Reid appreciator. We did the whole Howie Andy thing. Like, I hold Andy in very high regard for sure. But if Doug wins a Super Bowl and then Nick wins a Super Bowl and Andy didn't, I don't know. I mean, again, like, that was my childhood. So for those teams to me, I will always hold in the light of like, man, those were great dominant teams. But the further away you get, it's like a movie. We were talking about what movie we were saying didn't hold up well. Meet the Parents. Like, I thought when I was younger was.
I think it's so funny, but it's not as funny.
Yeah, exactly. But like, super bad. Like, I'll be 70 and think it's hysterical, right?
Yeah, super bad's amazing.
I do wonder if Andy holds up.
Love this.
Just because
Andy is an Eagles coach, because obviously done great in Kansas City too.
Yeah, for sure. But I just, I do wonder. Like, when Doug won it was okay. Well, he won a Super Bowl, but if another head coach wins it, I don't know.
No, I think it's really interesting.
I don't know if we'll have 2 weeks to discuss it, but
it's an interesting thing on Andy's legacy. And look, I mean, it does say something because look, this organization that's not a crazy statement. Look, Andy was here for about the same amount of time he's been gone, more or less, like a couple more years. Yeah. He was here for 12 and he's gone for like 10 or 11 now, whatever.
That is wild.
Like, it's wild, right?
Yeah.
But like, think about that one Super Bowl they got to with him. And they've gotten to 2 already since he was gone. Like that.
And if he wins it, yeah.
And if they win it, they've already won 2 more. And they'll have beaten him. If the Eagles win this one, as much success as Andy has had in Kansas City, and he's been amazing. He's yet to have a losing record. 9-7 is his worst record in Kansas City. He's gone to like 5.
When did he go 9-7?
The 1 year with Alex Smith, maybe, or whatever.
Okay.
But it was like his first or second year, really early on. So has never had a losing record. It's like you've looked down the Pro Football Reference page, is like 12, 13, 11, 12, 13. Like, it's unbelievable. 5 conference championship games, all that. But if he loses this Super Bowl, like, he'll have 1 Super Bowl with Mahomes, and the Eagles have won 2 since he left.
Yeah.
And so I do think it's a very, and look, again, it does, like, Patrick Mahomes helped Andy get past the in-game demons, but that doesn't mean he's good at it. Like, Mahomes helps him, but Andy is still a less than average in-game coach.
Well,
in big games.
I was thinking about this last night too. So
below average, less than average.
Like,
who says less than average?
Obviously, the Super Bowl is a big game. Breaking news, right? That's my hot take of the day. Super Bowl is a big game.
It's a hot take.
But I do think it definitely adds to the big game thing that for Andy, that it's the Eagles.
Yeah.
You know,
How
so
could it not? I mean, they're calling it the first thing they said when the Chiefs won last
the
night.
Andy Reid Bowl.
It was the first thing.
Yeah.
Get ready for the Andy Reid Bowl.
And I think the Eagles might have the coach. Might I should say. They might have the coaching matchup in this. One thing that really,
I think in game they definitely.
I think
do.
in game they do.
Scheming prior to the game they probably don't, but like I think in game they definitely do.
So when, it's an AFC team, so I obviously don't follow them like as closely throughout the year. I knew they were awesome. I will say the numbers.
I woke up to Elliot's research this morning that he sent us, and he's he's a little nervous about all the research he's done.
Dude, let me tell you, their offense is. So two things I cannot not understand upon my initial research of the Chiefs. One, how are they so awesome at offense with like below average skill players, in my opinion? Kelsey's awesome, but outside of that, yeah, it's Mahomes, right?
And Andy is a great.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
That's
So
why I said going into the, I think Andy still is, and that's not a rip on Sirianni. I think him and Sykin, they've all done a great job scheming, but like going the week of, like there's no one offensively better than Andy. He's the best at it.
So there's that. The other thing I cannot understand for the life of me is how in the world the Chiefs were second in the league in sacks this year and like top 4 in pressures and like all these things with basically just Chris Jones. Their number 2 sack guy is
good too. He was hurt. He was hurt at times. So Frank Clark's a good pass rusher.
True. Yeah. Okay.
Even if the numbers weren't there for him this year, we've seen enough of Frank Clark the last few years.
He's good.
He's a good pass rusher.
Right. So yes. They are a little like the Niners.
Karlaftis has been like
Karlaftis has 6 sacks, right? They're a little like the Niners in the way where Chris Jones has a ton of sacks, and then everyone else is like. Now the difference is Chris Jones is an interior guy versus edge, right? Yeah. So, but the two things that have me the most worried, and their offensive line is good.
Very.
Yeah, their tackles are only okay.
But shocking. The lines are good.
Right.
Andy. Yeah,
the interior of it, I think, is the strength of it. I think the tackles are only okay.
I mean, Humphrey, their center is phenomenal.
Yeah, their guard, Thurnley, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Joe something or other.
Dooney,
there it is.
Phenomenal.
Right. Yeah, he's unbelievable. So one thing I think I repeatedly said about the Niners was I think the Eagles have the advantage on the lines. I'm not there yet with that.
I still think the Eagles do have the advantage on the lines. But it's
the Eagles lines are awesome.
It's a much
yeah.
I think the Eagles, like I know are they the best? I think they have the best offensive line in football. The Eagles still to this.
Yeah, I think they do too.
Like they just found a way to run on the best run defense in the league and all that stuff. I still think they're the best, but to your point, like Chiefs might be second best. Chiefs are right there. It's like, and D lines, I think the Eagles D lines better, but it's really close. The overall, the lines matchup is way, way, way tougher than
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that is like the core of my
football.
discomfort
with
this.
They got Mahomes. Like,
if
you got a good offensive line in Mahomes, you have it doesn't matter who's running the routes. We've seen that. Like then Kelsey.
That's what I'm saying.
Trust. They're awesome. I think this is the toughest game the Eagles have played all season.
So that was just, when I was up till 1 a.m., both doing research on the Chiefs and thinking about what shoes I'm going to buy for the Super Bowl. Those are the two things that were on my mind. Yeah, it is.
All right. Quickly before we get out of here, because it is Monday.
Yes.
We'll have a lot of work to do.
Yes.
And we get daily pods coming every single day to the Super Bowl.
I know.
Okay.
I have a final thought too.
I have a final thought too. Don't worry.
Okay.
obviously every day.
I know.
I'm gonna have to add a few because we're going 20. I gotta add a few. I got a really good one for tomorrow.
Oh, the Eagles are favorites, by the way.
I know. So open as the Chiefs favorites, and then it swung immediately, like in seconds. The Eagles are favorites. Rank the storylines.
Okay. This sounds like an article I would have written a few years ago. Let me think. Okay. I mean, obviously,
so Andy.
Obviously, one is Andy. Yeah.
Mahomes versus Hurts.
So Mahomes versus Hurts to me is the battle for QB1 of the NFL.
Yeah. Also, did you see it went all over Twitter last night? The first time in the history of
two African American quarterbacks.
That's great.
That's really cool too.
That's really cool. Yeah. Finally, I mean,
Yeah. Well, and look, like another storyline is if Hurts wins it, the days of saying you can't win with. And I don't actually.
Yeah, he could be the first, like, quote unquote, and he's not, running, but he is. First ever.
He is for sure, but it also does annoy me.
Super Bowl back in the day, and it's like, whatever. But
it does annoy me a little bit when he gets categorized just as that, because I think it severely undermines what he does as a passer.
Oh
but,
my God, yes.
But whatever.
Yes.
So
yes. And I mean, decision maker, like all the decisions, he makes more decisions on a play and on a consistent basis than any quarterback in the league has to.
I agree. I think another underrated storyline is the country, like the sports country, falling in love with Nick Sirianni.
Love this.
I think he's going to be unbelievable on media night. is there any head coach better suited to sit up there and get asked from like somebody in a wrestling mask from Nick Jr. about what Disney villain he would slime? Like, he's so perfect. Yeah. He's gonna cry. He's gonna talk about Mountain Union. He's gonna he's gonna bring his kids up there.
He's like, I've been dreaming of going to Super Bowl.
Dude, he's gonna like
get his kids up there. He's being a dad. By the way, we always talk about me and Nick being best friends someday, and I plan on this.
I truly believe it,
dude. Him like when he was dealing with his daughter up on the stage, I was like, I'm you, Nick.
Yeah.
I was like, this is. And he's like, listen. He's like, yeah, like I was like, okay, your daughter is totally being a Zoe right now, and I totally get it.
Well, she was doing like she was throwing.
I was like, and even then, she's being way better than Zoe would probably be in that spot. So trust me, I was like, I love you, Nick. I feel you right now,
dude. I've said it before, but like, I think little things like that are just so important about him as a head coach.
He feels like a human being.
Yeah,
some robot.
I will be interested to see Jalen on media night.
Yeah, we'll
not
see.
his setting. In my
opinion.
He's not the most like get up and salsa dance with somebody. Exactly right. But I mean, and
I don't. Showed it. He smiled last, and he sang the fight song. Like I think for the first time, and there's still work to do, as he'd say, and all that.
Yeah.
But I think we saw that, kind of like and I know I've compared him a lot to Brady in terms of his.
He's
mentality.
very Brady-esque.
Yeah, the way he goes about his business, the wake up and work, and all he care about is being great and all that. Like that is Brady-esque. But like we've seen Brady over the last few years, like the personalities come out. It's like, oh, he's not just like this.
He cried immediately.
Yeah, like he's shown personality and stuff. I think with Hurts, like yesterday we saw that it's in there. It's just that he is focused and he is dedicated and he's not letting it out.
Yeah,
because he's got work to do. But it's there. Like the person when he was singing the fight song, like and smiling and he was so charismatic. Like it's there.
I thought it was actually a little impressive that he knew the fight song.
Yeah,
he hasn't been here for 7 years.
Only messed up the fight Eagles fight. The second verse, he said fly Eagles fly,
which is fine.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Most people mess that up.
That's a huge spot to
did a great job.
Those.
And I was actually a little like, whoa, Terry, you're asking to do it here. I was like, that's kind of like, I'm sitting there. I'm like, I think he knows it because I knew he did the thing with Kelsey.
Terry was bad.
But I'm like, how do you put him on the spot like that? Like,
I agree.
24-year-old kid, like.
So the final thing.
Trying to set him up to have like a viral clip go viral. Oh,
Yeah, if I was him, I would have just been like done the Eagles chant.
Yeah.
The final thing before we get to the final thought.
Yes.
That people are gonna fall in love with this Eagles team. The personalities, like they have so many amazing personalities. There's no guys on there. Honest to God, there's not a single guy on the roster that I can know at least. I don't know these guys off the field like super, super, super well. I don't think there's not like one bad guy on the team. Like I think every guy is like ready to go to media night, do all these things, and just like everyone's gonna fall in love with them.
This has always been one of my things. I probably said on the pod 100 times. Like another one of my favorite things about 2017, about that being our first Super Bowl, is that it was such a great group of guys to root for. It's all these guys who we love and care about and like are wonderful humans. The Malcolm Jenkins, Torrey Smith, like all these guys are like great people. Brett Selleck, we saying like great guy. BG, Kelsey, all that. It feels like we got that again with this
100%.
group, and especially with Sirianni, it hurts at the top. To your point, like there's such an easy group of humans to root for.
Yeah,
and that does add to it. Like it's supposed to be fun, right? And it's like you want to be.
That's what I'm saying.
Easy to root for them. Like that's fun.
Watching this group of people go through the Super Bowl thing, I think that the Eagles will come out looking very good.
And also, look, shout out to some guys who waited a really long time, like Darius Slay has been a great player in the NFL for a long time. Wishing away on the line and stuff. Like he's waited a long time to 100%. Be in this spot. Like there are dudes like that. It's just. I'm really
Hassan Reddick. You can keep going.
AJ Brown. I know he hasn't been in the league that long, but he's never been
5 years.
And like one of the best players at his position. Those guys always want to be on the biggest stage.
Dude, N'Kobe Dean and Jordan Davis must just be like, well, this is just what it's like to play football. Yeah, this is what it's like to play football. Yeah.
Did you see? By the way, I'm happy you brought that up. Do you see the Stetson Bennett thing? Kevin Clark tweeted this out, and he's like, he was like, he looked into it, he can't find it. He's like, this is probably, he's like, I'm not 100% sure because I don't have all the info, but likely the first chance that if Jalen Hurts can win the Super Bowl, that the Super Bowl winning quarterback will be younger than the national championship winning quarterback that year. Like, would be pretty amazing.
It is wild.
There are a lot of factors that have to make that happen. So, all right. So again, we're going to be here all week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I just Tuesday to Friday.
You don't hear people.
I'm ready for the Super Bowl, guys. I'm ready.
You don't really hear people do that.
Ready to win the Super Bowl. You don't.
Yeah.
Well, I went Tuesday. 3 weeks is the worst day of the week, so I just jumped to Friday.
There you go. Exactly.
With Tuesday. See what I did there? We're gonna be here every day. We're gonna be here every day next week. We got the show on Saturday. We got all kinds of content coming your way. It's gonna be so much fun. All right. Final thoughts.
Okay. As a society, we need to move on from the victory cigar. It smells so gross. I go in the Eagles locker room
I like
last
to
night.
smoke a cigar, but
I go in the Eagles
I'm
locker room
not
last night.
smoke indoor, like cigar smoke indoors in general is not like, it can get to be a lot.
And I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. I think there's something for sure. Like maybe invent something. I don't know, but they just smell really bad. The smell stays on your clothing. It's not even doing a health thing. Look, they look cool. Objectively, they look awesome. There's no question about it. I just think it's time to find something else. I think they're mostly just gross. And this is not just a celebration thing. I don't like smoking cigars in general.
So I like cigars, but I don't
the smell stays on your clothes.
I went through a cigar phase where I like had a humidor and I love cigars and they're fun.
Wow,
And that's
I can see you doing that.
Long since over. But I like a cigar every once in a while and stuff. But generally, on the whole, like it is a lot, especially if you're in a room with a lot of them and stuff. They
look really cool. There's no denying.
I like a few puffs of a cigar and then I'm like, all right.
That's what I'm saying. No one really enjoys. No one actually super enjoys a cigar. Maybe 5% of the population. Most people just do it because it looks cool.
Yeah.
So find something else that looks cool.
Not a bad take. And also, let's be honest, it's kind of Burrow's thing too.
It is. Well,
like when you think of the cigar, you think of Joe Burrow after the championship.
You do. That's a good point.
I
don't think he should have monopoly on it, but
he shouldn't. And there have been other people throughout history, all that. But still, like when I think of the NFL and I think of cigars, I think of Burrow. So that's my thing. Whatever. But
no, but you're right. I think nowadays you think about it, but like Jalen did look cool with the cigar. There's no question. I'm ready to move on. Okay.
It's a fair take. All right. Tomorrow, my final thought is going to be a TV take that I feel very
that should be
about.
fun.
I'm teasing.
Okay.
Here's my final thought. It's love. And in two spots, and really this whole run with everybody. But first and foremost, I know we said it a bunch, but we were on the radio and we were doing the post-game pod and stuff, but like to everyone who came out to see us at McSorley's on Friday night, like
unbelievable.
From the bottom of Elliot and I spent the whole ride home just being like, well, that was the coolest night of our lives.
It was the closest I've ever felt to a celebrity.
I was like, I'm not a celebrity, but like that night I felt like, wow, like people, and even more than that, like it was just, we don't get to go out with this pod on the road a ton. We do the parks thing, but that's Saturdays and people are busy, and it's not, and we're working. We're doing a show. We're not like hanging out.
Right.
We don't get to go out and talk to people as much as we would like to, and we want to do more of that and all that. But to to actually feel the love,
dude, it was unbelievable to hear how far people drove to come. Like
Virginia, Harrisburg, Bethlehem. We have people coming from all over. Like that's humbling.
I think it was Real One Hannah that said this. Like, it felt like meeting up with old friends. Yeah. And that is what it felt like. Because
I had someone say, it was like, I feel like I know you guys.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know me, but I was like, well, I want to know you.
Right. But the awesome thing was as soon as you start, like, it's just nice to know, like, we talk so much about how the Eagles are an awesome team. It's nice to know that the people who listen to this pod are awesome too.
Yeah.
So.
It really is. And look, a Real One won the tickets, which
was awesome.
Shout out.
Yeah.
And just in general, again, I think, for Elliot and I, it was a really, one of the great nights of our career. We said down the way, literally one of the best nights of our career to be able to meet so many people, to spend the time and just to feel that people appreciate what we're doing and want to be on this with us. And we felt that with the daily pods, but to meet people and look in their eyes and talk to them. And what would you say, 20 to 30 Real One downloaders, downloaders there. Yeah. Easy, right?
Dude,
I mean, I'm an auto downloader. I'm like, I freaking love you. Like, oh my God, I love you.
And it was also cool watching, I don't know. I guess I don't know if they didn't know each other, but just seeing people that I don't think knew each other beforehand, hanging out and talking, So look, we're going to definitely do something similar to that again. Who knows? Maybe it'll even be this week, right? It's going to be wild.
Hopefully.
I would just say this too, if you're listening and you were thinking maybe I'll go, but I'm not going to know anyone. It is it was awesome. Yeah. So if there's something like this again, and if you came last time, you should come again because I want to see you again. Yeah. But outside of that, if you should come, I'm talking to you, the listener, you should come next time.
All right. And last part of the love, and I'm doing this because Elliot's too much humility to do it, but shout out to everyone who just torpedoed Elliot past his goal in the book drive.
Yes.
Seriously, we had a couple people in there what? So I went in and I was like, I'm going to put in $30. I'm like,
very generous.
I was like, I'm excited about this. It's cool. And I look below me and it's $680.
Yeah.
The guy below me, I'm like, all right, dude.
Robert Griffin. Shout out to
RG3. Maybe not. We don't know. But Robert Griffin was another guy who gave you $380 to get you that 5,000.
100%.
Dude, it's not even my book drive. And I'm feeling the feels over this. It means so much to me that people watch this and care enough to do 100%. That. I freaking love you people. I love all you. I love this community. And that was that really, I know how much it meant to Elliot. It meant a lot to me. It's on my book drive.
It was awesome. And look, we have 2 more weeks now. So who knows? But I think like when I started that, so my mom worked in education. She was head of education for the city for 8 years. So like it's always, and I went to Philly public school. So like it's always been an issue that I care a lot about, mostly seeing all the work my mom did, but then going to the schools. But when you do something like that, just to be completely transparent, there's a part of me that's worried, what if no one donates, right? Like what if I try to do this thing and then I get like $800 out of 5,000 and it's embarrassing looking, right? So I'm really happy that it's past the goal. I'm so happy everyone donated, and I'm just, it was an amazing experience. So Spike Askin, our former boss, was the one that like encouraged me to kind of do it. And shout out to him for all the tweets. And like, it's an amazing feeling to know like dude, it's almost like, I think it's over 1,500 books that are going to go into, and if you're listening and you haven't donated, the link is still on my Twitter page. I'm going to do it through the Super Bowl, but thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, let's keep it
Thank you for
rolling.
your donation. Thank you to everybody that did donate.
Yeah,
It means
look, they can never get enough books for school kids.
Right.
Look, I mean, Mr. Books over
I was
here.
going to say, you're Mr. Kindle.
All I do is read. Like, it's my
Right.
favorite thing in the world to do. Like,
Yeah.
I know how important it is, and it is awesome. So thank you to everyone who donated. Keep donating. It's a great cause. And
Yeah,
it just meant
thank
a
you
lot
for
to
bringing
us.
that up. Yeah.
And what a great community we have here. It
Yes.
just meant a lot to us. A weekend of wins and community
Yeah.
and love, and it's just been really awesome.
It's going to be such an amazing 2 weeks.
2 more weeks.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, we love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. The Eagles are in the freaking Super Bowl, man.
Amen.
Against Andy Reid.
Amen.
All right, go Birds. We'll be back tomorrow. He's at MJ.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Love you guys.
Who we got in here? Tommy, Morgan, Scott, Farmer Fran.
Farmer Fran.
Montstar. Yeah, we got all types of people.
Love everybody.
Yes.
You're my heroes for tuning in. Thank you. Oh, wow. A lot of people tuning in.
lot of people.
That's like the most yet, I think.